Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Deal Talk, our podcast here. We are with Ryan Collins, and Ryan is with Truliant Federal Credit Union. Ryan, welcome aboard. How are you today?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Terry, for having me and allowing me to be a part of this. I'm very excited to kind of break down the conference from a couple of weeks ago, but then also further provide education for listeners and help to be a part of the continued success of CLBA.
Well, we certainly appreciate your support and your team being there. So, what is your role at the credit union? What actually do you do there?
Yep. So at Truliant, I'm a SBA Business Development Officer. And so we are originating SBA loans across the country. So physically, I'm located in Northeast Iowa. The credit union is headquartered in North Carolina, but we are originating loans across the U.S. And so, to dive further into the role, my focus is the financing of change of ownerships and owner-occupied real estate by using the SBA 7A loan product. We kind of have within the team, we kind of have two different segments, a small loan team and then a large loan team. So I'm a part of the large loan team. So processing those changes of ownership from 500,000 to $5 million. And then the small loan team is 100,000 to $500,000. And so we've been very lucky and successful within the last fiscal year. So much so that we were actually the number one credit union for SBA originations in the United States in fiscal year 24. And so, kind of the viewpoint on that is that's the starting point, and we want to continue to, of course, hold that throne, but climb up the overall ranks as well, and continue to help business owners to sell their business with effective financing to our buyers.
Wow. Well, congratulations. Being number one is always good. Staying number one is always the challenge. So, but I'm sure with your team, you'll
You got
figure
it.
out how to do
Yep,
that. So, well, we
that's right.
certainly do appreciate you being here, and we certainly appreciate you guys being one of the first group of sponsors that came aboard, and helped us with the Commercial Loan Brokers Association. And that's kind of what I want to get into is maybe a little recap of what your thoughts were of our first convention down there in Orlando. And then once you give the recap, maybe just a couple of key takeaways that you had from the convention.
Yeah, of course. So for me, the biggest thing, of course, is networking. That's why we all go there, so that you can introduce yourself to other brokers, or even maybe reconnect with brokers that you haven't seen in the last year or more. But the biggest takeaway, which has always, been a high point with conferences that we've been involved with you guys, is education. So specific to SBA, there is a lot of nuance, and part of what I try to employ with brokers and individual borrowers is that really there's two different criterias. It's what the SBA will allow, and then it's what the lender will allow overlaid on top of that. And so I thought that the conference did a very good job, and the speakers did a very good job of trying to separate those two, so we can say, okay, this is allowable under the SBA, but this is what a bank is going to require. Now, sometimes those perfectly mesh, but sometimes they don't. And so, part of what I try to go to market with is being very clear with with a client or with a broker to say, yes, that is SBA eligible, but we are not comfortable with that because of X, Y, and Z. That way they can go to another bank that maybe has different criteria. And a lot of times I'll see lenders use the SBA um, as a scapegoat. And don't get me wrong, I did that early in my career.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to say no. And so you just say, oh, well, that's not SBA
Right.
eligible. Well, not exactly all the time. So I think that the conference did a great job, and the sessions did a great job of separating those two requirements, so that as a new broker or somebody that's new to brokering SBA, they can identify where the best route is for a lender, depending upon if it's a bank requirement or an SBA requirement.
Right. I think that's one of the things that brokers and borrowers, get confused on, is that you got two authorities that you're dealing with, to put it that way. You've got what the SBA does allow, but then there's a lot of banks that say, yeah, the SBA may allow that, but we're not doing that.
Exactly.
We have some local, have some local banks here in our Nashville market that, they're very tight on their SBA box, and so they'll say, yeah, we can't do this, Terry. Will you meet this client and see if you can do that? And we've actually taken deals that they've turned down and then put them through SBA, with other lenders that are more tolerant of that type of deal. So I think that's important for brokers and borrowers to understand that. So I appreciate that. So let me ask you this, and I know we're early on in the podcast, but I want to get this out there. First conference that we pulled off in Orlando. Now that the second conference is going to be in Orlando again next year, October 27th, 28th, and 29th. Tell me about that. Did you guys, are you good? You coming back? Do you recommend it?
Oh, absolutely. We will be back, and I definitely recommend that new and honestly existing brokers attend as well. A couple of reasons. One is, and I'll stick within my lane, which is SBA. But the SBA and the requirements are forever changing. It is a live government agency that is constantly amending the program. Most good, some maybe less good, but it is a continuous evolving program. And so making sure that you're staying up to date on that and the education centered around that is critical. Um, Also, the last couple of years, just general economics have been very much in flux. Um, I suspect that's probably going to stay the same. It's going to be constant change. And so going to just get general market update and market specific knowledge is critical as you are going back to your clients to effectively educate and direct them as they're seeking financing for whatever that project might be. And then the last point is as to why they should attend as well. You get to see Terry, you get to see Scott, you get to see Bridget, you get to see Victoria, and the rest of the CLBA staff. And so that right there is probably worth it just in itself.
Well, that sounds like a really nice plug there, Ryan. I appreciate that. Let me ask you this: I know that you guys work and you work really well with brokers, but what do you see in the relationship that your credit union has with brokers, and what benefit do you see with brokers working with you and you working with those brokers?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to kind of what I've been basing the whole conversation on, which is education. Um, Most of
Hmm.
this group is generally in the first 3 years of their brokering career, and
Yep.
um, and I personally, I want to work with all the brokers, but I really want to attach myself to those brokers so that I can educate them, I can develop the relationship, and that we can grow together. Because ultimately, that is what's going to benefit, everybody globally. So it's kind of the old saying of, trying to teach an old dog new tricks. Can you do it? Yeah, but if you are taking a blank slate and then educating them on the SBA process, just in my own career, I've seen a lot better efficacy there, and client success rate, because those younger or lesser time and business brokers can be a little bit more amendable in their processes and understanding. Because also too, with it, again, the SBA is forever changing. So if you have a broker that's been doing this 25 years, I mean, they've probably seen 15 or 20 versions of the SOP. So it's very hard to stay up to date on everything, especially if you're offering more than just an SBA product.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, and I know that our focus as an association is heavy into education, and I think as we educate our brokers and we all learn how to work together, that all we're doing is lifting up the whole industry. So we
Exactly.
certainly appreciate what you guys are doing, at Truliant and helping the brokers to grow. So, what would you say to a broker that's looking to do more SBA deals in today's market? How could that broker better themselves, would you think?
Yeah, so I would say, uh, reach out to other BDOs, and try and find yourself a good core of like 3 to 5 different BDOs at different institutions. Everybody's going to have a little bit different criteria, and so get an understanding for that so that you can um, best position your clients for success. Also, kind of in the same vein is if you do have an opportunity and send it to a BDO and they decline for whatever reason, ask their opinion. Ask their opinion on why they are declining it. Is this SBA versus bank? And then also, hey, do you have any insight on who I should send this to? Because like for me personally, my it's probably about equivalent with brokers, but my biggest or second biggest referral source is other BDOs. We all kind
Hmm.
of know enough to be dangerous within the marketplace about each other's credit boxes, so that I can know,
Right.
okay, this doesn't fit what we need, but insert blank at another bank can. And if it's a good BDO that really values that broker relationship, they're going to give you the name because they know that they want to support you, the broker, but also the person that they're referring it to. Not only can they get it done, it's probably their buddy. And so, like, I have the mentality that if not me, then you. I want that deal to get done because that client needs the funding. I just can't do it in some examples. And so if you're working with a BDO, you want to try and attach yourself and work with BDOs that are really focused on getting the client funded for whatever it may be, even if not themselves.
Right. Yeah, I think it's important for brokers to know that, just like going to a bank, we work with a lot of community banks, across the southeastern United States, especially, and every bank has their own niche. And
Hmm.
every SBA lender is going to have their niche too, things they'll do and things they won't do. So if you're a broker out there and you're trying to just have one SBA source, you're in trouble. You're going to
Right.
miss some business. So you got to have, like you said, 3 to 5 BDOs that are at different institutions that you work with, because all of them are going to be a little bit different. So,
Right. Right.
um, you know, don't want to tie up a lot of your time. I know you're very busy with what you guys going on. Being number one, you got to stay on top of that game. You guys got to keep. So, but before we finish up, I do want to ask you this. So, Ryan, we just came through an election, and obviously, the results are going to be happy for some, not happy for others. But the word that you're hearing is it's going to be a real pro business administration. We really don't know that until they get in office and see what they're going to do. But what do you see, and where do you see the market going for 2025? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think you were spot on with that. We will see, and so once the new administration is in place, things will start to change and they'll start pulling some levers. But honestly, I view it very similar to a cash flow model. Historical performance indicates future performance. So if we wind the clock back to the last time this administration was in office, the business marketplace was very active, and very,
Hmm.
very pro business. And so I would expect the same. Um, but putting that aside, we are still in the heat of the silver tsunami. Um, Business owners within the country are continuing to age, and we're seeing more and more of that activity in the marketplace. And so, regardless, that is going to continue to grow, in my opinion. Of course, SBA is, the vehicle of choice for funding those. And so I do think that it's going to continue to be a betterment to the economy and to the loan origination industry as a whole. Um, and time will tell, as you'd said, as far as where that economic success is coming. A lot of it previously was in construction and like real estate development. Me personally, I think it's coming in the form of the shifting of the guard, and moving to a more of an active asset class rather than passive real estate investment. Of course, I'm biased. This is what I work in every single day and look at. And so
Right.
not only do I see these asset classes changing hands all the time, but I want them to also, because it means, better success for myself and for our institution as a whole. But to put it short, I do foresee that it's going to be successful and in continued growth within the industry as a whole.
Right. Well, I think the same thing, and I think the future is very bright. For the next several years, for the commercial loan broker industry, and especially for those brokers out there who really want to be successful. I think a lot of times in life, it's do I really want to be successful? Am I going to go do the things I need to do to be successful? Because you know we're in a self-motivating industry. You got to get up and go to work every day.
Yep.
You got to meet people. You got to interact with people. So I just want to say, Ryan, I really appreciate Truliant being a huge sponsor of the Commercial Loan Brokers Association, and I really look forward to a continued relationship with you guys and your team. And hey, look, we get down there this coming October, in October of 2025. I'm going to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot. Hey, did you guys keep that title? Because that's really amazing and a really good thing to be able to put out there, that you guys are the number one in the industry. So I think
Yep.
that's great.
Yep, and I'll make sure to report back, and we want to make sure that we're retaining that. It's funny, we actually, so it's all based upon a fiscal year. We actually found out that we were number one when we were down there this past
Yeah.
year. So I think it was maybe the day we were setting up or something. But I will make sure to report back and with the good news that we've retained that title, but also continue to grow within the industry.
Yep. Well, we appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Ryan Collins with Truliant Federal Credit Union with DealTalk for the Commercial Loan Brokers Association. We appreciate you being with us today. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Thanks, Terry. Appreciate it.